like to call to order the Apache Junction Water District meeting to order. Roll call.
Chairman Wilson,
Here.
Vice Chairman Rizzi,
Present.
Board Member Evans,
Here.
Board Member Nesser,
Present.
and Board Member Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Board Member Evans,
Yes.
Board Member Nesser,
Yes.
Board Member Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rizzi,
Yes.
and
Almost said present.
Chair Wilson.
I thought you were going to say no. Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Okay. Public hearing.
Good evening, Chairman Wilson, members of the board. We're going to do a quick presentation on our budget, proposed rates, fees, and charges, class and comp, and our budget schedule review tonight. Quick overview. You guys seen this last week. The actual budget from last year, what we spent was $5.8 million. In 2021, the budget was 7.1, so we were under our budget last year, or going into 2022, sorry. Let me start over again, I'm sorry. You got me all confused here. So the actual budget for that year was 5.8 million. We budgeted this current year at 7.1 million, and we're projected to spend 5.9 million by the end of the year, which is in June 30th. We're proposing a $13 million budget next year, using some of our reserves to fund that, and that is because we've been saving up for water resource acquisition fees and system connection fees, and we're going to spend some of that money as growth is happening now. Some of the big projects that we're going to have out here is build a raw water pipeline between Superstition Area Water Plant and the sewer district, roughly at $750,000. Drill a new well on Superstition Vistas so we can recharge water and then suck it out of the ground at a future date, roughly $1.4 million. Then purchase radios for existing service connections, roughly at $900,000. This will be part of a water conservation grant required to fund this project also, so that we can notify people when they have a water leak earlier than after we read their meter after a month. Also, we'll be designing and constructing a new booster pump station at booster number 2 for roughly $850,000. We are also going to be changing our utility billing software from AS400 to Munis utility billing. We're working through that contract, and we'll be providing that to you here in the near future if the budget passes. And then also, we have some increases from Central Arizona Project on the proposed rate structure and additional water that we're going to be purchasing from the non-Indian agricultural water that we've been working on for the last 10 years. We're currently funding a portion of the Salt River Project Verde River Sedimentation Mitigation Study that we've been working on. This is in year 2 of 3, so it'll be going on for a couple more years, roughly at $100,000 each year. And then the Central Arizona Project funding for our non-Indian agricultural water is roughly $325,000 a year for the next 5 years, and we're in year 2 right now. Just some updates on the CAP water charges. This has been going on in the past. You guys have seen this chart for a while. Considerably climbing due to our climate change and different things that are happening out there with water getting scarce and water levels in Lake Mead flying by the 1075 mark that we always talked about. We're roughly at 1025 in Lake Mead currently, and currently dropping because they're saving water in Lake Powell so that we don't have to shut off electricities at some point in time. So they're moving water out of Colorado and Utah down into Lake Powell so we can maintain that over this winter or this summer and then into the winter, and we can save so that we can keep utilizing the hydroelectricity. So hopefully we get some rains in the next 2 to 3 years that we can keep that going into the future. That's what brings up a lot of these capital costs. Since we're using less water, the price to deliver that water goes up because the canal doesn't change in price. So we have to pay a little bit more for supply and demand at that point in time. So our district budget this year, we're trying to balance our revenues and expenses so we make it easable, sensible, reasonable, and a balanced approach. Comparing our rates to other cities for our base rate. As you can see here, the average base rate across these 10 cities. We do look at several others, but we take out the outliers and bring them into more of the median price. So we're at $23 on average for these other cities here. And then we're roughly currently at $27.24 and we're proposing a rate increase up to $28.60. And then how does that affect your bills? I'll get in that in a minute. But the proposed rate increase would be a 5% increase to the base rate. Consumption rate would no change. And the consumption tiers, we have no changes to those. And the consumption tiers are 0 to 4,000, 4,000, 7,000, and then 7,000 and above. If you're a customer that lives in the county or in County Island, we're proposing a base rate increase of 5%, a consumption rate increase of 5%, and again, no consumption tier rate increase. So how does this really affect? So the average customer that has 7,500 gallons per month, so this is just like a family of 2 or 3 here in Apache Junction. The existing bill is $68.52. The proposed increase would raise it to $70.02, so roughly 2.2%, so an increase of $1.50 to their bill. They use that same amount of water. If you live on the county island, the existing rate, if you use 7,500 gallons in a month, would be $76.70. The proposed new rate would be $80.53, so a total increase of $3.83, roughly 4.8% overall increase to their bill. Comparing the two rates, it's a customer that lives inside the city limits is paying $70.02 for this proposed rate of 7,500 gallons in a month, and a county person would be paying $80.53, so roughly $10 more if you live in the county for the same amount of water. Any questions on that so far? System connection fees. We talked a little bit about this our last meeting, so I want to come back around to it. So a single family rate for system connection fee. This is to build backbone infrastructure for tanks, boosters, and wells. So we add these dollars up, and that's what we're spending some of those on currently in this proposed budget. Is changing from $4,700 per single family unit to $6,994 per single family unit. Multifamily unit, we're at $4,520, proposing to go to $5,860. And then we're going to have a recreational vehicle charge of $4,700 per unit to $5,800 per unit. We used to have manufactured homes in that. I went back and looked at the Tischler-Bice study. We no longer have that in that proposed fee, so that will be taken out. So it's just recreational vehicle spots at that point in time. That'll pay those dollar amounts. A manufactured home will be considered a single-family resident, so they will be paying the $6,994. There was another question on how do we decide between a single-family home and multifamily homes. So I reached out to Development Services. They went back through their studies and how we wrote it in city code. And how that's determined, some of the developments we have now is some of the buildings are fourplexes, but they're sold off and platted as individual attached units. So they're still a single-family unit because they're sold parcels in a platted subdivision. So it's not multifamily, it's single-family attached at that point in time. So they would be charged a single-family rate.
So a fourplex and a string of condos, which is 5 or 6, those are also considered single-family.
If it is platted and they're individually owned.
Right.
If somebody owns...
It's not an apartment.
Correct. If somebody owns all 6 of them, then it becomes multifamily because the lots are, it's one parcel that they're on.
Yeah.
It's not individual parcels. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, I just have an issue. And I talked to Joel about it earlier today. When you look at the state's definition of recreational vehicle, it includes things that we don't want being utilized as a home. And our definition follows the state. Now, I know in this instance, we're not going to change that, but we really need to specify, because a truck with a camper on it, the state considers a recreational vehicle. So that's such a broad term, it doesn't really say what we want it to say. Does that make sense? I know, I just brought it up anyway.
I believe the building code, we have a chapter 7 under a building code for the city, not the district. Uh-oh. Oh, good, I don't have to answer the question.
You're excused.
That code, I believe, references Title 33 definitions. It could be Title 41. Because I did have this little discussion with Dave Zellner. I think the definitions for development fees is a little different. And so we should rely on the consultant for the development fee portion. So this time around. But we
Yeah.
can certainly,
The $60 is interesting.
well,
Why it's $60
I don't-
less.
I don't know how that calculated out, but that's what I think Carson recommends.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to make sure I got this right. Going back to Gail's first question about the townhomes. If somebody builds townhomes, let's say 6 of them, and there's a whole bunch of these units, if one person buys all 6, they only pay for a single family.
No.
No.
Well,
So it basically depends upon if it's a platted subdivision or non-platted subdivision, right? So it's a big parcel. So that's really the determining factor here. So if those 6 units are individual parcels, so you have to buy each parcel, that is a single-family attached unit.
oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, but if they buy all 6 units on one parcel, acre and a quarter, they pay the multifamily rate at that because they're not individual units.
Okay, oh, but what if this is on a whole bunch of units on 1 acre? You know, and some is owned by one person and others are individually owned.
You can't do that because then they'd be separate parcels, because then you have different owners, or even the same owner, but it's a different parcel,
Okay,
okay?
I think. All right.
Rudy, you want to come up and explain it? Maybe you can explain it a little bit differently than I have, so he
I'm
may
just
help.
trying to wonder why, if you build a whole bunch of these townhomes on 1 acre, would they be sold, and would your connection fees and everything be different for different people, depending on how many units they own and et cetera, et cetera? Yeah. Or am I making this more confusing than it needs
I
to
think you're
be?
confusing it. So again, you could buy them, but it goes back to if it's a platted. So each parcel, even though it's attached to each other, doesn't change anything. So if you have a parcel with 6 homes at 6 different parcels, so you're buying all 6 parcels, it's still a single-family resident in each parcel, okay? But if you have 6 units on one parcel, it becomes multifamily, okay?
Okay. I guess.
Rudy, am I explaining this right? Do you want to, maybe you can explain it a different way that I'm...
Oh, boy.
Board Chair Wilson, Board Member Nesser. A subdivision plat, whether it be, detached single-family homes, whether it be detached manufactured homes, you've got a lot, you've got your home, you got space around it, typical single-family model, those would be assessed the single-family fee. Now, you can also have a series of attached homes that are also individually platted and available for individual ownership.
Rudy,
Those, yeah.
can we have you next to the microphone?
Pardon?
Mike.
Not that you're enjoying the presentation, but
Oh.
moving across moving down the street, we're missing you.
So you can also have single-family homes that are attached to each other. In other words, common wall units, but they are individually owned, small lots, individually owned. Sometimes the lot line stops at the building line, and there might be a couple, a duplex, it might be 4, it might be 6, it might be 9, different size pods, and then the land around them is held in common ownership, maintained by an HOA, but the units themselves are individually owned, so those would be assessed a single-family fee. Now, you can have a property that's got 100 apartments on it, but none of those units are available for individual ownership. They're rental units. Those are treated under the multifamily fee. So in one scenario, you own the unit, and you can sell the unit, you can buy and sell. One person may be an investor, they may own several units. But if they are available for individual ownership, ability to individually sell them off, they're treated as single family, whereas if they're rentals, you can't sell one apartment out of an apartment complex. That if they're rentals, then it's considered multifamily.
Okay.
Thank you, Rudy. So next up is our residential system connection fee for our residents to the south in Reverence and Blossom Rock per our development agreement. They do not have to pay for the infrastructure because it's getting paid for through the developer through our CFD. So they will only be paying for other appurtenances such as vehicles, office space, and equipment. So they only pay the $509 here per unit. We also have our water resource acquisition fee, proposing to change it from $32.92 to $34.86 for a single-family resident, and then for a multifamily, $2,632 to $2,738. Any questions on our water resource acquisition fee? Okay. Class and compensation. The city worked on class and compensation. We also utilize it for the water district. On average, it's going to be 7.5% increase to the compensation plan this year. And then we also had an increase to our health insurance premiums this year. So the premium costs are proposed to be shared between the district and the employees. Any questions on our compensation plan? It's going to be matched the city's plan that you guys heard about last night also. And then our final budget schedule, planned for June 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. here in the City Council chambers at 300 East Superstition Boulevard, Apache Junction, Arizona, 85119. Any questions?
No questions.
I have a question, but it's not really related to, you talked a little bit about Lake Powell, and I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if you are on social media or not, but people are passing around photos of Lake Powell, and they're showing, it looks like a drain something, but they're showing the different levels, like from, I don't know if anybody else has seen this, where one year, you know, the water level was up here, and then they're showing where the water levels at Lake Powell are now. Any
Yes.
thoughts or explanations?
So it's slowly going down in Lake Powell and Lake Mead. So in 2000, I believe it was at 97%. So over the last 20 years, the lake just keeps draining more and more each year and slowly declining till we're getting to these points where we put in all these contingency plans, we're choosing less water, we're leaving water behind the dams to keep them there. The biggest thing right now is some of the intake structures are starting to come above the water levels. So they're trying to manage that so we can, for electric power, and also deliver some water to Lake Havasu as we come downstream and different things. Saving the environment. I mean, we're going through a lot of things right now. Hopefully we get more rain. This year was average rainfall and average snowfall up in the Rockies, but it didn't replenish the lakes like it should have because the land is so dry around it, it absorbed it like a sponge. Yeah. So we're still going through those, even if I think they're thinking 3 to 4 years of average rainfalls before to replenish that before we get our normal flows back into those lakes. So it's going to be a while out before we get out of this, even if it starts raining in the Rockies and different things happen out there.
So it's reliant upon Mother Nature. We keep saying we got water, but when it comes down to it, honestly, it's you know, the rainfall and the melting snow coming down. So
correct. Probably the next couple of meetings we'll present more on it. In August, CAP comes out with where they think their forecast is going to be for the following year. So we'll come in and explain that to you. Right now, we're in a shortage of Tier 1. Then it goes to a Tier 2A, Tier 2B, and when it actually starts affecting us and what years they're predicting that may happen if we don't get any rainfalls and different things that go on out there. So I'll get a little bit more into that in the future, but once we know more here in August, once they start predicting some of that, looking at their forecast that they're gonna have.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back to you guys and explain a little bit more.
That'd be good, because I don't know about other people, but I get that question quite a bit. It's probably the biggest thing I get questioned on the most is water. Where's it coming from? How are we gonna replenish?
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, public hearing, and this is on resolution number 2022-003, declaring a public hearing record and adopting certain documents filed with the district clerk, Apache Junction Water District Utilities, Utilities Community Facility District Classification Plan for fiscal year 2022 and 23. You have anything else you want to say on that, Mike?
No, I think these are just resolutions. I proposed on them earlier, had my presentation on it a little earlier. So again, we're just proposing what the city proposed to you guys last night, that roughly 7.5% on average increase to the salaries here at the water district also.
Okay. This is open public hearing. Does anyone want to speak on it? Don't see anyone coming forward. Do I have a motion on resolution number 2022-003?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 2022-003 declaring as a public record and adopting certain documents filed with the district clerk entitled Apache Junction Water Utilities Community Facilities District Classification Plan, Compensation Plan, and the flat and hourly schedule for fiscal year 2022 and 2023 be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Board Member Evans?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rizzi?
Yes.
Board Member Nesser?
Yes.
Board Member Schroeder.
Yes.
Chair Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, presentation, discussion, and for public hearing, resolution number 2022-004. No further discussions, right, Mike? No further discussions. All right, this is an open public hearing. Do I have anyone that wants to speak on this? Seeing none, do I have a motion for this resolution 2022-004?
Your Honor, I move that resolution number 2022-004, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Water Utilities Community Facilities District, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, pursuant to ARS 48-716, adopting a proposed budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2023, adopting proposed rates, fees, deposits, water resource acquisition fees, and charges applicable for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2023, establishing a public hearing on the proposed budget and directing district staff to solicit comments from the City of Apache Junction on the proposed annual budget be approved, and I further move that the public hearing for final budget adoption be held on June 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the Apache Junction City Council Chambers, 300 East Superstition Boulevard, Apache Junction, Arizona.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Board Member Evans?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rizzi?
Yes.
Board Member Nesser?
Yes.
Board Member Schroeder.
Yes.
Chair Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
District Manager's report.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Okay. District Director's report.
So I want to get some fun news. We had the Water Festival back, I believe, about 2 weeks ago now at Prospector Park. We had 4 schools that came out, 13 classes, over 300 fourth graders out there for a great day. I know some of the council members have participated in the past. It was a great day to have out there. Had over 40 volunteers from all the above here, Arizona Water Company, the Parks Department, Development Services, Public Works, the library, manager's office, finance, sewer district, fire district, and a bunch of community members came out for this event. So great day again. At the end of the day, the fire district came out and sprayed down the kids. They had a good time out there, learned a little bit in the meantime. So a special thanks to Project WET, which is with the University of Arizona that supports this water festival. Abbott Labs, our Abbott Fund, that funded some of the festival, and then Arizona Water Company that funded some of it. Also, Arizona Water Company provided some of the food, and for all the volunteers there, we provided breakfast out there. So again, it was a great 2.5 hours of community out there, enjoying it with the kids and explaining where water comes from, how the watershed reacts, and where groundwater comes from, and the water cycle. So a great day out there, so really appreciate it. And it's a great festival that we have here in Apache Junction for all the fourth graders that just came back after 2 years of being off from COVID. So it was a great day. That's it.
Okay, thank you. District Treasurer's Report. And since there's no other, I'll go ahead, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.